If you find yourself clicking this video, you are probably in the same position that I was when I first got the Herman Miller Embody a couple of months ago. I actually had a pretty decent office chair when I first got the Embody. I had the Hog 7500. I actually enjoyed the Hog a lot, but I felt after longer periods of use, my posture would decline and I would get back pain and especially pain in my neck. Fast forward, one day while I was at work, I got the advertisement for a used Herman Miller Embody. The asking price for the Embody was not high, at least in terms of the original price that it is usually here in my country. So I actually went and tried the chair out. And to my surprise, like, the back of the chair was a lot smaller than I actually thought. It also was not the wow I expected, at least from what I have read on Reddit and so on. Fun fact actually, when I tried the different chairs at the store, I actually preferred the Herman Miller Mira and another chair called Savo Soul. After trying the chairs for a while, I headed back to work and did some more research on the chairs I tested. When I googled the Herman Miller Embody, everybody spoke good of it. Like every YouTuber, every review talked about the chair like it was some kind of miracle. And even though I went to the store and I tested it and I actually did not like it as much as I thought I would, and because I have no opinions of my own and I always listen to Reddit, I went with the Herman Miller Embody. When I got the Embody home, it was alright at first. I could sit in it for a couple of hours, but after a while I would have some pain, and especially in my neck area. I started doing some research and people told me that it took some time to get used to the chair, that I should take my monitor higher up, that I should get some footrests, and so on and so on. I checked YouTube videos, I checked review, I checked if anyone else had similar problems, and when I actually searched a little bit more, and especially on forums, I found out that I was not the only one who had these issues with this chair. So I thought neck pain, neck rests, it's kind of similar, and I actually went and bought the Atlas headrest, as you can see from behind me here. It's a different fabric, but that's another story. So when I got the Atlas headrest, I assembled it and I tried like putting my head more behind than it usually was. And I sat like this most of the time. Spoiler alert, that did not solve my issues and it just kind of made it worse, and I got even more pain in my traps or like my neck area. Fast forward maybe 3, maybe even 4 months with pain. I tried everything. I checked guides, I checked ergonomics guide, like I could not fathom what I did wrong. It even got to a point where I was like, fuck it, this chair is not made for me at all. It has to be something wrong with this. Maybe it's old, maybe the plastic has been bad, maybe how my body is built is it doesn't fit. And for reference, on a good day with tall shoes, I am 170 centimeters and around 73 kilograms. I have also kinda broad shoulders and short limbs, so maybe this chair was just not for me. Maybe this chair is designed for people like your average type of person. But one day when I got off work, I just sat in my car and I thought for a second. I can drive this old piece of shit car for like 8 hours, no problem. And that's when it actually started to click in terms of my journey through ergonomics. I would like to preface this like I have no idea about good ergonomics. I have read about it, but this is complete anecdotal and bro sciencey. So first thing first, how are you actually sitting in your car? Generally, you're not sitting straight forward like this, right? I feel like that is that position will give you fatigue no matter what you do. Like there is no way you can sit that straight for so many hours. Again, I need to preface this is 100% anecdotal, but what I find with the lumbar support is that it's really important and not for the reason I thought it was important for. Personally, for me, I feel when I have my lower back against the chair, it balances me so I can easily get more of my body towards the chair. Like if my lumbar was not supported, I would slide down, right? And now I have pressure points on my upper back and like my glutes. I lose my pressure point from my lower back and for my legs especially. So my first tip is get inspiration from when you're driving in your car. So try taking the same angles as you have in your car on your Embody. I would also recommend having like the tilt strength, or what we can call it, to be at when you have your tilt unlocked, you can barely push up. But if I let go now, I don't have my feet on the floor, I kind of float, if that makes sense. Alright, the next tip I would like to suggest is how you position your keyboard and your mouse. What I did in the past was that I used my whole arm while playing FPS. My sensitivity was also really low, around 400 dpi. So I had to use my whole arm if I wanted to go from one side of the screen to the other side of the screen. So what I tried to change is take my keyboard closer to the edge of my desk, and I actually increased my DPI on the mouse from 400 to around 1600. That made it so I could use this space and move from one side of the screen instead of using my whole arm. What I also got was some secondhand armrests, and I think the reason I got this is just that the height adjustment on the Embody is of course notorious for being terrible, but the height I didn't get it especially like exactly how I wanted. Because for me at least, if I have it too high, I am shrugged, right? This is not comfortable. So what I want is not being shrugged, and I also don't want to have to kind of put pressure on my arms to keep them down. Like I think a golden rule for me at least, and I will come back to this, is have it barely under my desk height. I don't have my arms, like many talk about, like 90 degrees. I like to have my arms a little bit out, but I think it comes down to just preference, and of course how everybody is built different in terms of limb length. And yeah, to cut it short, you should just try it out a little bit. But one warning, if you're trying something and you feel pain, give it some rest before trying a different setting. Fatigue will like last a little bit after you have done something that is bad, so you might think it's bad for you if you try it directly after having it too high or too low. Give it some time. So my other tip is check your monitor height and your monitor angle. I currently have a 27-inch 1440p monitor, and if I sit in front while I game, I can touch my screen if I want to. But I think the angle and like my eyes are on top of the screen. Again, it's important to remember like your whole setup matter. If your chair is wrong, it doesn't matter if your monitor position is correct or vice versa. And that brings me on to the last point, which is the desk you have. It might be basic with thinking about the desk, but nonetheless, it is important. Like I said earlier, we all have different bodies, and I think you should find out what the optimal desk height is for your body. And I also think it is not just about how tall you are, it's about what's the length of your legs, your torso, your arms, and you have to work your way from there. Like me personally, I have kind of short legs, so I find that using a footrest gives me better stability, and I can take the chair a bit higher, which makes it so I can get a little better posture. Like my arms are more comfortable when I have some extra height on my chair. Like you can kind of see it here, but I have like my arm pads are a little bit under, so I can rest my arms. It's almost actually 90 degrees, my arms. And I have, like I talked about earlier, I have my mouse here, so I don't have to stretch out, right? Because if I actually did stretch out, like you can see it on my shoulder, but it will give me some fatigue after a while. So again, keep back against your chair, rest your arms. Like I have a little bit height difference, you can see it here. Like it's a little bit taller, but I have zero fatigue in my wrists. Again, I am no expert in ergonomics, but I found out this is what worked for me. The last tip I have for the Embody, I promise this is the last tip, is keep on the move while sitting in this chair. Like again, we talked about earlier, is about pressure points. Think of it when you're standing. Why are you getting tired when standing? I would argue, again, I'm no expert, it's because you only use your legs and it's of course static movement. It feels better to walk than standing still for longer periods of time. So again, stretch a bit, make sure you tilt back and forth, get some pressure off. Go grab some snacks from the fridge, I don't know, talk to your boyfriend or girlfriend. Just move once in a while. If you continue to be static, maybe you won't feel it right away, but you will feel it later. The last thing I think it's important is having realistic expectations when it comes to any chair. Okay, so maybe the Embody feels like a cloud if you compare it to a 100-year-old kitchen stool, but it does not give me the same sensation as working a long day and then just going to bed. But I can sit in this chair for 12 hours without any pain. But if I have to sleep somewhere, I will prefer sleeping in my bed 10 out of 10 times. Anyway, I hope these tips can help you in any way if you struggle, or at least give you some kind of inspiration in your journey towards getting comfortable in this chair. Please leave a comment if there's anything I can help with, and yeah, that's all.